Isaiah Hartenstein has just signed with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I hate this, guys. The New York Knicks have just lost their starting center, and we have to break it down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video as we always do, because Isaiah Hartenstein, it was just announced that he is signing with the Oklahoma City Thunder on a 3-year deal worth $87 million. And honestly, guys, not much the New York Knicks could have done about that. They lose Isaiah Hartenstein to a team that wanted him. They were willing to pay him way more than the Knicks literally could with the way the contracts work. And Hartenstein took the money and ran. And honestly, you got to respect it. As much as it sucks that they're not going to have Hartenstein next season and that he is going to play for the Thunder, who are a great team, there's not much the Knicks could have done. First of all, you have to ask yourself if he's really worth $29 million per year, because that is a lot of money for Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't think he's worth that much. Does it mean I'm any less bummed that he's not on the Knicks? No. If he wants to take that money, good for Isaiah. Go take that money and run. But absolutely, I wouldn't say that Hartenstein is a guy worth that money, and the Knicks will have to find a replacement who won't be as good as Hartenstein. I'm not trying to say he's that replaceable, but they are going to have to find someone else to replace these numbers. 7.8 points per game, so nearly 8 and 8 with 2.5 assists. Great high post playmaker, 1 block, 1 steal per game, shooting 64% from the field. Hits a lot of his twos on assists, but also can make some work off offensive rebounds. Great defender, great value over replacement player, and that replacement player was usually Mitchell Robinson or Precious Achiuwa, so definitely no one to sneeze at. Hartenstein is a great player. Don't get me wrong, he is one of the best role players in the NBA. The Thunder now get their guy. They've wanted him for a while. They wanted to go out there and get some rebounding help. They wanted someone who could, I guess, make some high post plays. He passes the ball fast. He moves fast. He fits the Thunder style. And at the end of the day, there's not much the New York Knicks can really do about it. Fred Katz did kind of break this down for us and give us some more detail, though. He said, for those who were in doubt, the Knicks offered Hartenstein the full 4 years, $72.5 million that they could, according to a league source. He elected to test out free agency instead. The Knicks never pulled the offer. They did want him back. They just were not allowed to pay him enough. Now, obviously, we all know the drill here. The Knicks were able to offer at most 4 years and $72.5 million to Isaiah Hartenstein because they only signed him for 2 years back in 2022, so they only had his early bird rights. They did not have full bird rights. And bird rights are essentially you just go over your salary cap to kind of just re-sign a player who is on your team for long enough, but they need to be on there for 3 years, or their contract that they signed before they got traded to you has to be 3 years or longer. The Knicks signed Hartenstein to a 2-year deal, meaning they only had his early bird rights, so they could only go a little bit over the salary cap. And in the process, the Thunder, who had money, went out there and used it on Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, this is not a great day to be a New York Knicks fan right now because on top of that, obviously, Paul George signed a massive deal with the Philadelphia 76ers early this morning. I thought about making a video on it and then figured, you know what, Hartenstein's going to decide to leave soon, so I'm just going to go to sleep, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes, and that's what I'm going to do. But look, not the best day to be a New York Knicks fan, but it's fine. They're still a great team. I'm not surprised they lost Isaiah Hartenstein. I wasn't looking at the Knicks like, okay, well, next season they'll go in and Mitch will be their backup center and he'll be playing with Josh Hart and DiVincenzo and Deuce McBride off the bench while Hartenstein starts with the new-look Knicks. No. I was looking at Mitch as the starting center because I knew Hartenstein was out of here. The Knicks just couldn't afford him. There's not much you can do about that. This was not really that surprising at all. I'm shocked that they had to pay him that much money. It seems kind of like a lot for Isaiah Hartenstein. He's a guy who, for all the things he does great, he does struggle against bigger centers. He can get played off the court, and now he's getting paid $29 million per year. Look, if OKC believes in him, they're a good front office, so I understand why. It's definitely not a trade signing I would have made if I were OKC. I feel like you had other options out there, but hey, go out there, you do you. Obviously, though, with Paul George also going to Philly, the Knicks are going to have to figure out a way to make their team better because, look, I still think the Knicks are better than the 76ers. Don't get me wrong. They're not as good as the Celtics, but they're also right there. Them and the Celtics are this close, and then the 76ers are like down here. And part of the thing is, if you think Paul George and Joel Embiid are both going to be healthy at the end of the year, then that's just an insane thought, especially when Paul George has an affinity for playing bad in the playoffs for absolutely no reason. So I'm still more worried about the Celtics than I am Philly. The Knicks still have Mitchell Robinson. As long as he could stay healthy, I've thought that he was a better center for Hartenstein. I've said it a million times. Though the problem is, it's very rare that Mitch has been able to stay healthy. That was by having Hartenstein was such a blessing. It's why it was so nice to have the guy. He fit with Jalen Brunson super well. He was friends with the Knicks. He really fit well with this team, but unfortunately, you can't keep everyone. Hartenstein does take the money and run, and I'm happy for the guy. I'm not going to sit here and be mad at this. How could I be mad? He's going to get paid $13 million more than what the Knicks could have paid him. There's only so much you could have done. Good for Hartenstein. Good, and go get your money. You're on a contending team. You're closer to home in Oregon. I'm happy for him. It's hard to not like Isaiah Hartenstein after what he did for the Knicks, and I don't think anyone should go out there and be mad at the guy. The Knicks are going to have to find other options in free agency, though, so hopefully maybe a guy like not Jonas Valanciunas or Andre Drummond, as they were both already taken off the market by Philadelphia and Washington. And there's still Goga Bitadze, some of the Knicks have had interest in, and then Hornets center Nick Richards, who could be a potential trade target. Now, I'll tell you guys one thing. I think it is going to be this man here, Goga Bitadze. The stats do not jump out. He put up 5 points and 4.5 rebounds, put up 1.2 blocks per game despite the fact that he wasn't getting the most minutes in the world, showed that he's a great defender with a defensive box plus minus just a little bit under 3. I mean, he's here to just be a rim protector. That's what he does. He's a rim protector. He came into the league as a guy who was a stretch big, and then somewhere along the way, his shooting went out the window, and it got replaced by an absolutely phenomenal rim protection. The Magic, for some reason, have like 18 different centers, so I do not think they're going to bring Goga back, which means the New York Knicks are going to go out there and try to get Goga. And I'll give you guys some silver lining on this. Obviously, I'm not going to dance around the fact that this is a massive bummer as much as we were expecting it or not. But there is something to look at when considering this, and that is obviously the second apron. I said I'd break down the second apron a little bit for you guys, so let's do this. Essentially, the second apron is a place you don't want to be under any circumstances. If you're there, it means you're a contender, and if you're the Los Angeles Clippers, it means you're just in hell. Because here's essentially the rule. All the same first apron rules that we discussed yesterday, on top of you still can't really aggregate players in trades, so that's an issue. You cannot send out cash, so when you see, oh, this player in cash considerations got sent, nope, not if you're in the second apron. You cannot do sign-and trades at all, so you can't acquire a player via sign-and trade. You cannot do a sign-and trade in any way. Like, you can't. It's a mess. And also, there's no spending exceptions besides bird rights and then league minimum signings. So you just don't want to hit that second apron. The New York Knicks now will not be hitting the second apron this year under any circumstances. The only way they possibly would have was if they brought back Hartenstein, which they were unable to do as much as they tried to. Well, guys, not the greatest day to be a Knicks fan between Paul George going to Philly and then Hartenstein leaving. But at the same time, the Knicks are still a phenomenal team. They're still one of the best teams in the NBA. They could easily still replace Hartenstein. As great as he was, he's not an irreplaceable player. Leon Rose will have a move to make. They don't need to do that much. You bring in a Nick Richards. You bring in Goga Bitadze. That's a fine backup center to Mitchell Robinson. You go with it from there. You show why you're still one of the best teams in the league. I'm not worried. I knew this one was coming. Not too shocking. It doesn't really deter any way that I feel on the Knicks being contenders. I really only would have, if he re-signed the Knicks, I would have been the Knicks are far better contenders than they were a few hours ago because I didn't think Hartenstein was staying. So, I'm not surprised. If any of you are, I don't know why. But leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Who do you want the Knicks to go after to replace him with? Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'm telling you, we're getting these things out right after it happens. This one took a bit of time to just set up. I'm a little tired, guys, but it's all right. We're going to keep moving. Obviously, I'm sick and all. But, oh well, have a great day, guys. Go Knicks. I'll be on it with any other news that comes when the Knicks make their signing. Later, guys.